Well, happy Thursday, Therapy Flow community. Welcome in. We're going to talk about money today.
The everyone's favorite topic. Everyone's
Oh,
favorite
yes,
topic.
100%. Specifically, spending money on marketing, which we know is every single counselor's favorite thing to do. whether you're solo practice or group practice, we're going to be dropping some nuggets today. How much do you actually need to spend on marketing to get results? How do you scale that budget up? And then how do you apply it into your business succinctly in a straightforward way? And one of the things I want to pull out right away is I know a lot of therapists have a lot of apprehension and fear at all stages of their business on investing money into marketing, and then specific things about that. And there's kind of this grin and bear it. There's this like countdown, 1, 2, 3, okay, let's just do it, and like kind of jump into the cold water, and you just expect it to be this awful, uncomfortable thing. So we're going to talk about that briefly today as we weave in and out, because I don't think it needs to be this sort of cold shower experience, as we're doing this, because I believe that if you are doing marketing correctly, it should be making you and your practice money. Not to say that it's always easy or there isn't work to figure out, or um, you do have to sometimes spend money, right? But when done correctly, when you understand what you're supposed to be doing here, the marketing you do will grow your business and make it money. And that's why we do it. We aren't marketing the practice just for the fun of it, just because you're supposed to quote unquote market a business. No, we're doing it to grow the business because that's the mechanism that pushes it forward. And if the marketing time and money you're spending isn't working, then we're doing something wrong. That doesn't mean we should stop marketing.
Yeah, I want to pause here for just a second to talk about maybe a little bit of the taboo we see so many therapists uh, come out of maybe school with. And I think it's like this false narrative, maybe in academia, where it's like you shouldn't have to market, or maybe even your services market themselves. And that's just not the truth. We're just not seeing that. If you have a great service, it's your responsibility to tell people that you have a great service. And so if they don't know you exist, you don't exist, right? And it can take years to have a reputation catch on. I think the stat is 45% of businesses just outright fail in their first 5 years, and only 25% of new businesses make it to 15 years or more. And so, if you're starting your private practice because you want freedom and flexibility and you want to operate your life and your lifestyle really the way that you want, and you want to have sort of a say in it, and you kind of got bit a little bit by the entrepreneurial bug, then I think you need to be very present and aware with the fact that businesses fail, but you can do something about it. You can do something about it. And just like people fail every day, maybe on their diets, or maybe they fail on some sort of spectrum, there's just consistent actions that happen that if you're consistently moving in that direction, you're going to consistently move in that direction. And so the information that we'll present today, this is a marathon. You're moving towards something. You don't stop. There was a really great quote from, I think, Henry Ford. That's like, I think he says, stopping advertising to stop time, or stopping spending on advertising is like trying to hold the hands of a clock and stop time. And it just doesn't happen because the world is moving around you still.
Yeah.
And so, something to kind of consider as we're diving into this topic, guys. Um, everybody needs to do it. If you've got something great, say that you've got something great. And businesses fail, so we need to be consistent in this sector, and we need to constantly make improvements on this sector. And I think, to maybe the last note before I'll get off my soapbox too, every business struggles with marketing, and it kind of ebbs and flows a little bit like the stock market, right? Even the best businesses in the world, like the Coca-Colas, have down days and they have up days, and they have, you know what I mean? So don't feel like, hey, my marketing is down for these last 3 months, but it wasn't always like that. That doesn't mean you can't fix it. That doesn't mean it can't get better. That doesn't mean that it won't get better. It's not a
Yeah.
reason to stop.
With in this, the Small Business Administration recommends that you spend about 10% of your annual revenue. So if you're doing $100,000 in a year, that would be about $10,000 on marketing. Or if you're doing $1 million in revenue in a year, that'd be about $100,000 a year on marketing. And this is a general guideline, so don't freak out if you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not spending anywhere near 10%, or I'm spending way more than 10%. There's so many caveats, but I think the big takeaway here is, do you have some kind of infrastructure in place, some sort of decision making framework that indicates when you should spend more time or money in the scenario on marketing? Because a lot of the practice owners of all sizes that we talk to, there's no systematic conversation in their head on the when, what, and how. And I'll just point out a really obvious one. It shouldn't go off of feeling. It shouldn't be like, oh, I feel like I need more clients, or I feel like the practice is really empty, or I see, even numbers wise, that I want to grow, so I feel like I need to do more marketing. It should actually be more like, oh, I want to hire and fill out 2 counselors. That should be a light that goes on in your head. I probably need, if I can't, to invest more money or more time in my marketing measures to increase volume. Is the growth that you want, are you constantly pairing it with the appropriate investment piece that you want? If you need more clients, you need to invest either time or money. And I want to talk about the time piece really fast too, because a lot of you really value your time. You actually have this one-to-one with your clinical hours if you're a solo practice, even some of you groups of, you see that you have a 120 or 200 or $300 per session. That's kind of your value. If you apply that time into your business, your value could increase because you're building an entire organization. But some of you are really hesitant to invest $300 into a paid ad or other places, things that will really shortcut your time and how much energy. Like, imagine how many hours will be spent you building a website versus hiring an Upwork person, or you bringing on a virtual assistant to do some marketing things. Even if you have to manage them, just pull some of the levers or do some copy or do some SEO on your website. Just as an example of, you can actually get sometimes more bang for your buck if you just spend the money instead of spending the time.
Yeah. On that note, setting an effective hourly value is helpful here. And so currently your clinical sessions are capped at a certain number. And so your number is whatever it is, right? 200, 150, 250, however you guys are kind of sitting at. When you sit down for a session, that hour is capped, right? Or maybe it increases like 5% per year. But if you're taking that hour and spending it on a business building activity, that number appreciates over time. So as you get better with marketing, as you get better with organizing your practice, as you get better at predicting certain things, your 175 block of time that used to be in clinical sessions that maybe appreciates 5% per year, now that 175 block of time actually appreciates 12 or 30% per year. And so keep that in mind as you're looking at marketing, spending in marketing, because I know some of you, it's actually your time that you have to spend to like figure this out for the first time. So maybe give yourself a pass, because your time will actually appreciate as you get better on this topic. And I think probably one of the most corrosive mindsets here too is that you're not good at it. There are just so many business owners that are just less smart than you, probably work less than you, probably have less aptitude than you. You are not the bottom of the barrel, I promise. There are there's such a diverse group of people who find success, that I think just having that corrosive mindset in place where you can't do it, or you're the worst at it, or it's bad. Like, I guarantee if you spend a year just like being methodical with it, you'll probably crack the code on it. And with that being said, that kind of moves us into maybe like our framework here, a quick recommendation on maybe how to approach the problem. And this is sort of the marketing progression that maybe we see here. And this is the way that this, maybe it's a moniker. Is that what that word is? I think this is a moniker. New, more, better. So what you want to try to do is find a new way to market your practice, increase the volume in that channel, and then create better quality in that channel. And you kind of rinse, wash, and repeat. If you're starting from scratch or you're overwhelmed with where to start, just pick one, right? Just pick one thing and look at my Psych Today. That's the first thing I'm looking at. Great. Psych Today is your new thing for right now. You're going to do more on that until you kind of cap it out and then figure out how you can do better with it. And then move on to the next thing. A
Yeah.
new item, a more like perform more on that platform until it works and then get better at it. So maybe
Yeah.
after Psych Today, you'll roll out your Google ads.
And I think the piece that is most often missing is you do the new thing, you launch a new Psych Today profile, you build the new website, and then you immediately skip to better. Man, why isn't this getting the result that I want? Why isn't fill in the blank? Oh, I need to make this better. I need to improve how it looks. I need to make it better. And you forgot the more category. And there's kind of two, A more, B more, is volume. We are talking about volume of action in a single time frame, or volume of consistency across a long period of time. So for instance, if you're networking, oh man, I need to network. Man, no one's replying. Maybe I need to improve my messaging. Maybe I need better gift baskets, better business cards, right? That's not really going to help you a lot if you aren't reaching out to enough people. One a month isn't going to do a lot. Maybe you need to go to 5 a month or 10 a month to try and build referral partners. You need to increase the volume, and you probably need to do that for a month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months across a long period of time to see consistency. Same with like your SEO would be a good example. Is maybe you started to blog, but you're like, oh man, my blogs aren't getting results. I need to improve the quality, the quality, the quality. Make these better now that I'm blogging. Well, maybe you need to go from 4 blogs a month to 6 blogs a month, increase the volume of them, and you need to just do that for 6 to 8 months. And so when you're thinking about investing your marketing dollars, whether you're doing 10% a year or 5% or 20%, make sure it's proportional to your growth goals. Make sure you're actually making it proportional, but actually have awareness. Am I trying to do something new? Or do I need to increase the volume of the things that I'm already doing? Or maybe lastly, I should work on improving the quality of the process. And I just see so many practices skip to that last step, and they skip the middle step most often. You just need to improve the volume by size and by consistency. And that's where you need to spend your money and your time. And it's probably why you're not seeing as much of a return on investment back in some of the categories you are marketing your practice or spending energy for.
I'll give you guys a quick example on something here too, because I think it's really important just so that you can kind of see the scales here. There's a story out in the marketing space right now where someone's like, yeah, I bought 100 flyers and I was hoping that that would work. And they hand out their 100 flyers. They realize that the 100 flyers didn't work to help promote their practice. And essentially, they went to go talk to a business that flyers were working for. And they asked, hey, how come flyers are working for you? And they're like, well, we don't even do a test batch with less than 1,000 flyers. And so the scales here of what it takes to actually get something to work, I think you need to just accept that the threshold is probably higher than maybe what you want it to at first. But then ultimately, when you start reaching those thresholds, you realize, hey, this works. And I'm glad that I didn't waste my time doing too little. The truth is, you're not going to care when something works. The amount of energy or pain maybe it took to get to that point. And so think in those terms. If you're like looking at your website analytics and you see like 80 visitors in a month, I think the question you should be asking yourself isn't how can I make sure, and this goes right back to our new more better here. How can I make sure to get those 80 people to turn into someone who's inquiring and improve my website or do those other things? But the easier question here might just be, how can I get 800 people to visit my website? Because the truth is, you're probably onto something with your website. It's probably not a complete dumpster fire. And so, if you just had more people there, it's probably easier to get more people there. And then you can kind of refine your message over time as you get to know yourself more, as you get to know your clients more, and as you get to just in general learn how to market and really be the tastemaker for your practice on those segments.
Yeah.
And so keep that in mind as you're going into this. The scales are usually much higher, and those thresholds that you have to have for yourself are just much higher than you think they are, especially as a new business owner.
And if you want to spend less money on marketing, and Attilio briefly mentioned this at the start, which is you're supposed to kind of choose one and do this cycle with it. You'll see results better and faster. So don't say, hey, I need a bunch of new things. And you go and you launch 5 different diverse kinds of marketing strategies all at the same time. New. And then more. At least at minimum, do new and then more, and figure out what does the finish line of new look like for ads, and then what does the finish line of more look like for ads. And maybe even before you do anything else, you repeat the cycle, you do the finish line of what does better look like. Finish a full cycle, go one at a time to make sure that it's successful and we've worked on it before restarting it with something else. And that's another huge mistake that we see is you try and do 10 new things all at once, or you try one new thing and you don't ever try more. So then you try another new thing and you don't ever go to more, and you try a third new thing. And oh, I tried SEO for a couple months. It just didn't work for me. Well, you never got out of the new phase. Oh, I tried ads, but you never got out of the new phase for ads. So don't let shiny objects of restarting again and again and again dilute your income. Imagine if you're like, oh, I'm going to go swim for 1 month, run for 1 month, rock climb for 1 month, and every single month or every 3 months you changed how you're trying to get in shape. You're never going to make any progress because you're never going to spend enough time in a single strategy to move it forward. And so that's the last piece. It doesn't fully matter how much you actually end up having to spend on marketing. We want it to be profitable. There's other ways to calculate lifetime value, cost to acquire a customer. There's definitely some more formulaic ways to make good decisions here. But if you're new to the marketing game, make sure you're just following the new, more, better cycle. Go all in on the things that you're hearing are working for other counselors. Choose one, move through it. Then, maybe work with an organization like ours as well to get more strategic guidance, process, energy, right, to really apply a more unique strategy. But this is a big piece of the starting concept that just needs to be implanted for you to be a successful business owner and deploy marketing cash.
Yeah. I'll maybe bring one last thing for lifetime value, and then that's all I got. Like a practical element, we touched on it just really quick. For the SBA recommends about 10% of your revenue is spent on marketing. The way that we're practically doing this calculation for our practice owners in our program is more like determine your average session rate and how many sessions that person might come in for the year.
Yeah.
And there should be some kind of average there. Typically, we're seeing practices say that one client is worth between usually like $1,000 to like $5,000 or $6,000. And so between those ranges, some of you practice a little bit differently, and it's on one side of the spectrum. Some of you practice in a completely different capacity, and it's totally different. So do that calculation for yourself and figure out what one client is worth for you. And then what you can do is take 10% of that number and say, effectively, I can spend this much to acquire a customer, and try to hit that number. Okay. Try to hit that number. What happens is maybe after a month or a quarter, you start seeing how much you're spending on marketing and client generating activities. And then you find out how many clients you got. And then you can see kind of how far off or how close you are. And then over time, you can sort of try to shrink that number. Right.
Yeah.
And so if you're looking for a more profitable way, it just takes a little bit of time, just takes a little bit of energy, and you'll make it there. Okay.
Good luck, guys.